There we go, Kris.
Cool. We're not actually live yet, are we? So I've got a couple of seconds.
No, I said there we go, Kris.
We're live.
Live. That
Oh,
top right hand corner says live.
oh, okay, live. Okay, so evening everybody. Back again. Check with the rep flute. Let's begin. I'm here with Danny, le GFP. Hello, Danny.
Bonjour, le lover, le frogs.
Oui. I'm also
That's
here.
your FIFA team called le frogs.
It is indeed.
Not-
Le Frogs with a Z, should I add.
Not being mean about our French brothers and sisters.
No, absolutely. We're also joined by the lovely Dom, doing a bit of double duty. All right, Dom?
I'm doing the double.
Doing the double.
Double. So Cameron has done the double, and it's come from the lane of one fuck all again.
Thank
So
you.
Campbell has won the double, and then they asked us over the tannoy to stop singing it. So we sang it louder! Fuck you!
Right, we've also got another man lurking in the corner there. It's Mr. Philippe Philop. Right, Jace. Oh, he's gone quiet now. Jace.
I just thought I'd embarrass you by giving you a bit of silence.
That's fine. If you tilt the camera up a little bit higher, Jace, we won't be able to see your face. That'd be perfect.
You can go fuck yourself.
Jace, can you turn your microphone up and put it on mute, please?
Hey, Dom. Sorry, I'm not dressed to go to the gay bar. The gay bar.
Oh, I love
Shots
that.
fired.
Hey, who's the one that's been holding hands walking down the beach earlier today talking about
Got a
that?
point.
Would be you.
It's got a point. Right.
Hey, it's not my daughter.
Enough of this tomfoolery. I'm going to get you two on each other in a minute. But right,
Ooh,
Danny,
man action.
Danny, we'll start with you.
Nice.
It's been a busy, jam-packed day of nothing.
So if I had to list all the stuff that we've done, it'd be nothing.
It would be. Well,
Nothing.
there's been a little bit. Our very own Jeff Arsenal reported on this earlier on in the day, talking about Mathieu Flamini possibly going out on loan, which is kind of ironic when you think about it, seeing as that Coquelin was sent on loan, has come back and now stolen his place, so he'll be off on loan himself, which is rather funny. But the talk is that he's might be going to Fulham. Have you got any views on that?
Yeah, could do. Might not
Brilliant,
do.
thanks. Dom.
Right. What's this I'm reading that Tim Cahill has left the New York Red Bulls?
Yes, he's
gone.
moved on. Yeah, he's gone.
Where's he gone?
Well, he's a free agent.
Thierry. Oh,
Thierry.
I've got the telly muted, and it's I'm just watching Thierry and the woman who's hosting. Is it Kirsty something?
The one in the red dress.
Oh, no, the one sitting down. She's a delight.
I had to put a cushion over my groin when I saw the woman in the red
And
dress.
she knows her stuff.
Anyway, Don, what's your thoughts on this Flamini potential Fulham loan?
I'm not too keen on it, to be honest. I think if he does go and something happens to Coquelin, we're left with not
No
a
one.
whole lot. So, yeah, I mean, Bielik or whatever you pronounce his name, he's only a 17-year-old kid, and he needs to spend a little bit of time in the gym before he's going to be ready for the rigours of the Premier League. So, I'm not sure that the whole Flamini on loan makes a whole lot of sense with Arteta being out for as long as he is, and there's no guarantees he's going to come back and be able to do anything for the rest of the season anyway. So,
But
I'm
Gabriel
not sure where that one's come from.
Gabriel can play left back, centre back, right back, and defensive midfield. So someone tweeted me. So maybe
Yeah.
that might have something to do with it. But
Well,
no, I don't think he should
Yeah,
do.
but they've only seen him for 2 days, haven't they? You know.
Callum Chambers is the other one. I mean, I'm not fond of him as a DM personally. I don't think that's him at all. But maybe the manager thinks, or also we don't know. Like Dom said, Bielik, we don't know how he's performing in training. Maybe the manager thinks, sod it, we'll put him in. I mean, Fabregas wasn't particularly stocky when he first came in, so. Jace, what about the idea that maybe a fit Jack Wilshere, or he's back in training? What about the idea of him coming in and maybe playing that DM role if, like the England role? What about that? Is that something you'd maybe look at?
I like that. I like the idea of that. I've always been a fan of him playing a deeper role. He's got the vision to push the team up the park and to keep pressure on other teams. But I just can't see Flamini going anywhere. Wilshere's not back from injury yet. If anything does happen to Coquelin, we really are in a desperate position then. So
Yeah.
I can't see that at all. I just think it's an absolute non-starter.
Yeah, no, I understand. Danny, if the rumours, like kind of with Jace on this. I can't see it happening, but Jeff has spoken, and it's being reported, so there's a possibility. What about the idea that if we were to let the Flame go on loan to Fulham or wherever he went, what about the idea that people will all immediately go, oh, we're signing somebody? Do you think that's possible? Do you think there's something going on that we don't know about, or is it just a move?
That's a good point, yeah. Maybe moving him on, but he's good enough for at least half the Premier League team, so why the hell he would want to go to Fulham, a team in turmoil that aren't even doing that well in the league, that they've gone and spunked all that money on, was it McCormick from Leeds? Yeah. Like £14 million or something like that. The club's just run by an idiot. He should have nothing. The only good thing about him being at Fulham is he's just down the road, and then he's not going there for fitness. He's not going there for any other reason. His contract expires in the summer, and the Arsenal have a 1-year option to extend it, which by the looks of it, they might not do.
But you say why go to Fulham? Maybe it's not his choice. Maybe that is the club that are in for it. Yeah,
I was going to say maybe Arsenal turned around and said you're either on the bench and you're not playing at all because I want to play other people before you, even if it is Bielik, saying, look, he's now ahead of you. When Arteta back, he's ahead of you as well. So your option is to stay here and do nothing or to get game time somewhere else.
Sorry, I don't buy any of this. I don't buy, Bielik 17. How many times he played for Legia Warsaw?
Well, three times.
Yeah, but they're not going to put him into the Premier League after 3 performances at Legia Warsaw. I just think this is just a rumour that's gone round.
Jace,
I think you're right.
I'll just play devil's advocate on that just briefly. I think you're right for the record. But
at Fulham, they got Scotty Parker there.
They have, but just saying about Bielik and not playing, I will bet you a friendly little bet that he will be in the team at least once or twice before the end of the season.
Oh, I have no doubt of that, okay? But when we said this before on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, he was going into the first team squad. They see something in him, but they're not going to chuck. If we've got Man United away, they're not putting him in the first team squad.
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree, yeah. And maybe a home game against somebody shit, basically, is where I'm thinking. But
Yeah. I have no doubt that he will play before the end of the season, okay? But, again, you can't, he's a 17-year-old kid. You can't trust him. If Cochran goes down injured and Flamley's up and loan, there's no way it's going to happen. It would be unfair in the poor bugger. And the one thing Arsene Wenger does very well is he brings through the kids nicely.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. I think we have to, Dom, I'll come to you actually on this one. Jace, I come over you, mate. Better hide. I come to you, Dom. You mentioned that Bielik needs to sort of, quote, get on the weights. We've seen Sonogo go for a couple of months to get beefed up. We saw Mesut Ozil come back beefed up. When Fabregas made his debut all those years ago, yeah, I know it's vomit-inducing, but he was quite a small lad. Do you think that do you think the game's changed even since 2004? Do you think it's changed that much that like you say, Bielik would need to be a bit more beefy, and how long a process could that take?
I think he definitely needs to. I think look at someone like, the position as well is quite different. That defensive midfield position, which is where he would play, is a lot more physically demanding, throwing your body around than what the attacking midfield role is that what Cesc played. So straight away that, Cesc could get away with being a little bit more lightly built because he was more of a creative player. He wasn't having to be a physical player. The process, look, the thing with trying to put on muscle is that you can't really do any cardio work whilst you're doing it. It's a catch-22. You either get really fit or you stop your cardio training to put on muscle because it's really difficult to do both at once. So hence why if Mesut was out and he wasn't able to really do too much running because he had a buggered knee, he was able to sit there and smash a bunch of weights and put on a little bit of size and then worry about the cardio training once his knee was a bit better. So when you're a young kid as well, it will usually take you a bit longer. He's only a 17-year-old lad. Naturally, he's going to fill out a little bit, but he's going to take probably a couple of years before I would think that he's at a size and in some condition where I think that he would be able to handle Premier League games week in, week out in that position. He looks like he needs to run around the shower just to get wet. He's only a really skinny kid.
It was the same with Theo Walcott, wasn't it? He bobbed up when he was out injured. He came back a bit more size friendly, didn't he? He was a bit more bulky in the upper body and that. So I don't know if it's that similar.
Sorry, but combined with that, when Fabregas came into the team, Fabregas came into a title-winning team.
Yeah.
Okay, the best team in the
Yeah,
land.
and he was around people like Vieira and those
Yeah.
types of guys as well, so he had a lot more
Very-
protection.
Very, very different situation to the one that we're in now. You know,
Yeah.
we're just coming out of a poor bit of form. We're hitting form now. You know, we're 5 wins on the bounce. It's too much to ask a 17-year-old to do.
Yeah, I agree. A question for you, Danny, a light-hearted question, and then I'll go back to the serious stuff. Jason Schrader asks, friend and member of the pod, if there was a transfer window for podcasts from ABW, who would be deemed deadwood and moved to a shitty Russian side?
I'll probably.
Go on, throw us under the bus.
I think Raj would like that. He'd pay good money to go out there. It'd be Raj or Andrew, those boys that like to live the extravagant lifestyle. And with my Russian hat, I think I'd go with them.
Fair enough. So there it is.
Fabregas, you heard the news about him?
Yeah, headbutting a bus or something.
He, in his Aston Martin Vanquish in my very hometown of Putney, he cut in front of the number 93 bus, which I am very familiar with. I was on there in 1973, and then he cut in front, got out of it, and punched the window of the bus.
What a bell end.
Well, there you go.
The bus.
Who punched it? A
What a
double-decker
shame the
bus.
bus driver didn't just accelerate at it.
Perhaps the bus driver was a gooner. Maybe. Just
Oh,
putting it
apparently
out
he's
there.
been caught on camera. I don't know if it says he gets out. I don't know how you'd punch the window of the bus without getting out. But yeah,
Let's be honest. He's got a massive case of the dickheads. Okay, you can
Dickheaditis.
He's got a massive case of the dickheads. I wish it not too much ill, but I wish him sprained ankles and calf problems for the rest of his career.
Itchy bum disease. Anyone else got any ideas of who would be fucked off to Russia without a mudslot?
I go.
You're not allowed to offer.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen some of those Eastern European women?
Oh, that's why I want to go.
fair
Oh,
point.
Yeah, but they don't come in this way.
Jason,
They
They don't like
Myself.
holding. They don't like holding hands though, Jay. So you'd be a no-go.
I'll come to you. I'll come to you, Jace, for another player to have a natter about. Serge Gnabry, Gnabry, however you want to pronounce it. Few rumours.
how do you pronounce it? Do we pronounce the G or is it silent?
It is Gnabry technically, but it sounds silly. So the German kid.
Hey.
Would you? I mean, I personally would like to see him on loan because I don't think if Joel Campbell couldn't get a game, I can't see how Serge is going to get a game, particularly unless we get a spate of injuries wide.
Oh, but Serge was brilliant. He's so big and muscular. He makes Theo look like a little girl.
Oh, he's a good little player, but he's young and as I say, he's got to come back from the injury, and obviously we've spoken about the injury before. But Jace, I'd like to see him at a championship side, or a higher up championship, or a team like maybe a Leicester or a West Brom. Would you be behind letting him go on loan, or would you be worried that would be another one gone out the door?
No, I'd like to see him on loan. You know, not. We haven't had him for a year. He makes no difference to the current squad depth whatsoever at this moment in time. I prefer to see him go out to Spain, somewhere like that, where it's not.
Germany's more likely.
Yeah.
Whatever, but where it's not quite as physical, if you know what I mean. If you look at the Spanish league, it's not quite as physical as over here or Germany or France. So, a bit of warm weather, help him get it back into his football. It wouldn't do him any harm out there. That would be my preference. But, we don't really know what injury he's had.
No.
This is the problem. It's just said knee problem, okay?
Yeah.
So, we don't know what the injury is. He's going to take his time to come back. He needs football. Spain, for me, is perfect.
Yeah, I can see the rationale behind that. Somebody else has just put actually in the group. Where is it? Joe Norby, afternoon Joe, or evening I should say. Gnabry to Everton on loan. I would be worried a bit if he went somewhere like Everton because I think Roberto Martinez had Rio Miyachi when he was at Wigan, and granted he got injured, but he hardly played. So I'm not sure about that one. Dom, I'll come to you. You get the best question of the lot. Can you see anything?
Can I just give you can I give you my thoughts on the Gnabry thing just quickly?
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah.
I'd say no because you don't know how bad Oxlade-Chamberlain's osteitis pubis is. So you've just gotten rid of Campbell. He's got inflammation. Yeah, he's got inflammation of the groin, similar to what Koscielny's got in his Achilles, but he's got it in his groin. So it's one of those things where he could play and then it'll flare up and then he's not able to train and it's just on and off and he might need 3 weeks off and then that means 3 weeks of zero running basically. And then if it calms down, then he's got to get his match fitness back. But while he gets his match fitness back, it could flare up again. So he's a bit of a dicey one for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And he's had that for a little while now. He's had that for, he's been carrying that for a while. So with him dodgy, Theo only just coming back from injury, Alexis with a hamstring that doesn't seem too bad, and with all those guys out on loan, I think Gnabry will get some game time.
Yeah, but again, you've got if Welbeck comes back from fitness, Welbeck can play on the left, Sanchez, Walcott can play wide. With Gnabry, how sharp is he going to be? We don't know where he's at in his recovery at the moment.
I would purely keep him purely for numbers' sake, because I think that with all of those guys out on loan, Podolski, Sonogo, Campbell all gone out on loan, if you send another one out on loan, I really start to think that you're crossing your fingers that you don't get a couple of injuries in those positions. Otherwise, you are starting to play. I mean, it's not ideal to play Welbeck out wide. I'd rather play a proper winger out wide than play a striker out wide because everyone else is out on loan.
Yeah, but with Welbeck, Welbeck's played with Man United in Europe out wide and what have you. It's not as if he's a novice at it. It's something he does very well. And if you're playing Walcott or Sanchez on the other side, I'm positive Sanchez can play both sides, as I think Walcott could. But Santi can play out there. Ozil can play out there. I don't think Gnabry's that important, but again, it all depends where he's at in his recovery.
I can see
a number of players who can play that position.
I can see arguments on both sides. I think, Jace, you've got an excellent point in regards to him going on loan and getting games, but equally I can see Dom's point in keeping him integrated in the group would be the thing. I think the other thing you've got to look at, which is a bit of a weird one to bring up, but if you look at our next 6 to 8 fixtures, other than the North London derby, that they're not the most, and I'm saying this with everything crossed and touching every wood I've got in my house, but they're not all the most tricky sides. That there's not any of the top 6 or 7 in there, and I wonder if perhaps that, like the Middlesbrough Cup game I look at, for example, maybe that will be the game to perhaps get Gnabry sort of back involved and see how he is. The other thing as well is that much with Flamini in the Fulham situation, if there is any weight in that or not, who's to say that nobody's actually offered Gnabry a loan? That's the other thing. I don't think we're the sort of club that would tout our players around. With Sonogo, Palace came to us. Well, there was actively a lot of clubs interested. Same with Joel Campbell. Whereas I think Gnabry, there hasn't exactly been a load of people saying, "Oh, we'd be interested." So maybe the club are saying, "Well, if we get asked, we'll consider it," but maybe not.
I can't see anybody going out. I just can't.
Well, that was my next question actually. We'll go in reverse order. We'll go Dom, Jace, Danny.
Okay, sorry.
Can anyone see? Can you see? I mean, I'll go with in or out. Can you see anybody? Can you see anyone coming in at all? And if not, can you see any more outs?
See, Jace has just gone out.
Jace.
Jace
outs. Jason. He's off to Russia. Outs. I can't see anyone else coming in. I don't think that. Like I said, I tweeted it earlier today that I don't think that we need anybody. To be honest.
No,
I don't think that there's anybody out there that's going to actually turn the team from what it is into, a Champions League contender. And you've got to remember that, and there are a lot of players out there, but which ones are available and for a price that you'd be willing to pay. So, ins, no, outs. Well, look, potentially with the Gnabry and Flamini, perhaps, one of those, if not both, maybe out on a loan. But I wouldn't be getting rid of Flamini. I think that'd be quite silly. I just don't see the benefit in it. He's not a guy that needs to go out and play to develop. It's only another 5 months of the season to go, 6 months of the season to go. There's no point dishing him out. You're better off just keeping him around the squad just in case you need him.
Yeah, I agree, and much like we said previously just a minute ago as well, there the sort of the idea of keeping players around just in case. We don't want to be in a situation where we were pre-season where we're going, Christ almighty, we've only got 4 defenders. If one gets injured, we're screwed. Like you said, we could be 2-3 injuries away from a real problem. So I think, like you say, at this stage of the season, this time of the year, numbers is important. Danny, what's your views? Do you think, I've got a feeling I know the answer, but can you see anybody else coming in, anybody else going out?
Well, a couple of things you've raised. Another thing I was thinking about Gnabry is you don't want a player because Everton will pay money. If he went there, they'd pay money to have him on loan, and then they're going to want their money's worth. They're not going to be treating him with kid gloves to make sure he's fit. They're going to want to play him. So that's the point I thought about that. The run of games, I agree with you. I said a while ago, the Southampton game will be our 1 defeat in 23. You write that down, people. 1 defeat in 23. And that's for who's come. Yeah, as is. And Dom, it's the 24th of May is the last league game of the season at home to West Brom, and that is just over 3.5 months away. The end of the season. That's depressing, isn't it? My fucking batteries on my mouse have gone again. Yeah.
Jay,
will we get anyone in? Probably not.
Okay, fair
The
enough.
quicker it goes, the less I think we will.
Jay, seeing as you're back, how was Russia? Was it cold out there? Or?
Did you wash your hands?
It's not bling. No, I'm just here now to see the back door.
Oh yeah, back door, eh? Enough said. Jace, what do you make of a little bit of a random thing to go across? What do you make of other clubs' business so far? There's not really been much going on. It seems to have been quite a quiet window. Do you think that's a reflection of sort of the money that people have got, or do you think it's all going to go off sort of tonight, which it invariably does around about 8 o'clock at night, where everybody races to get people in?
I really don't know. I mean, Chelsea and City, City bought Bonnie. Chelsea looks like the Quadrado deal's going through, but they've got to sell Schürrle in order to do that. I think FFP's hit them quite hard. I think Liverpool are in a state of flux where they've been bitten on the arse by the Balotelli signing, etc. I think there's exactly. When people are saying in summer that's good business, what for a psychopath? This guy's nutter. I think they've got real issues there. As far as everybody else is concerned, I really don't care, to be honest. I was hoping we'd get a cheeky loan signing in, something like that, just to solidify the squad, but that's not happened. But it just seems to be very quiet. And on the Chelsea deal, I think Wolfsburg have got the best of that deal.
Yeah, I agree.
Quadrado looks like a nice player, but
he's got a good celebration. Have you seen that? He's going to make it fucking rain every time he scores.
He will do well, but
the Premier League is very different.
Yeah.
To Italy, isn't it? And I mean, with Schürrle, I thought Schürrle was a very good player.
I agree.
For Chelsea, I don't know. I think it's if I was Wolfsburg, I think I've got the better end of that deal.
Yeah, I agree.
A very tenuous Arsenal transfer link. Shall I make a little game of it to try and string this out a little bit? We bought him from Parma in 2003 for £350,000.
Stefan Schwartz. Sorry?
No.
What year?
From Parma.
Yeah.
What year?
We loaned him to Derby County for 06-07. He scored
Arturo Lupoli.
Hey, bada bing.
Not just a pretty face, darling. Not just a pretty face.
Some would say not even. He's just
really.
left Varse in Italian Division 2.
Varese.
Varse. That's not my fault. They can't. At least if they call it something decent. And 5 goals in 17 this season, and he's going to fucking hell, Frosinone. You wouldn't think my granddad's Italian, would you?
No.
Frosinone in Division 2, in Serie B for the natives.
I can give you another one. Jason came up with this one earlier on. He mentioned about Nando's. Remember Craig Eastman, everybody? Yeah, he's been released by Colchester today. So
who was the young youth player who said he didn't give a fuck about football, he was only in it for the money, and then we let him go? Might have been Eastman or one of those lot. We're not making accusations here, so we're just
don't know
guessing.
Who that was. I remember Jay Bothroyd throwing his shirt at Liam Brady on the bench and getting sacked. Do you remember that?
Then they fucked him off to Italy, didn't they?
They did.
He was a very promising youth player.
I'm going to.
He was at Cardiff City for a while.
I'd also like to ask Dom on this one. Dom, we had a brief conversation last night about that lot up the road and how they were going to buy everyone and their uncle. What do you make of that lot up there? There seems to be a lot of talk about a lot of their players going out and a lot of them coming in. Do you think their squad that we rock up to White Hart Lane on Sunday, do you think their squad will be very different, or do you think it's all a load of bollocks?
I hope it is different because they'll be unsettled. And we've got a squad at the moment that seems quite settled, and everybody seems to fit their their positions, and they've been playing together. We've had the same back four for a few good games now, and the same keeper. And if you go up there, and it's the same. Remember the other season we went there and beat them early on in the season. They got 7 or 8 new players in, and it just didn't actually click for them. So I hope that there is a bit of movement in and out, because it doesn't sound like they're getting anybody in that's going to make them instantly, title contenders anyway. It sort of seems, a bit of a much for a muchness.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you guys as well. There's a lot of talk about Jack Wilshere over on the chat box at the moment. People saying, a few people saying that it'd be possible that he would leave in the summer, and that we should cash in on him. I'll kick us off by saying absolutely no chance that he's going anywhere.
I'll second that.
But not only there are people talking about his potential position, he's a central midfielder. I think this whole experiment with him playing further up the pitch has kind of hopefully fallen on its arse, and when we've got people like Mesut Ozil and Santi Cazorla playing so well there, and everybody always laments our, we don't have enough depth. You need 2 good players in every position. We've got Kieran Gibbs and Monreal fighting out at left back. Hopefully, if Debussy was here, we'd have Bellerin and Debussy at right back. In the centre of the pitch, in that central midfield role, the box-to-box role, we do have Ramsey and Wilshere. There's been periods of the season when he is fit and playing well that Wilshere has been really, really good. I think we're so quick to say, he's had a couple of bad games, therefore, let's get rid of him, let's cash in, or let's try him at defensive midfield. Is there a spot there for him? But there's plenty of game time for him to play the position that he's best in, which is in the centre of the park. We don't need to try to convert him to a defensive midfielder to get the best out of him. He's quite capable of that. I mean, he turns defence into attack really, really well. It's when he gets too far up the pitch that I think that he starts having issues. So, you've got to keep the guy. He's a talented boy. He just needs to get his head in the right spot. And what is he, 22? 22-year-old kid?
Yeah.
He's a young lad. He's the same age as Coquelin.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
he's played how many games for us already? I mean, I think that the whole, you get rid of him, and then where's your depth? If Ramsey's out, then who's playing central midfield?
Yeah, he's 23, you're right.
Yeah, but again, okay, it's the sensationalism of the fact that he gets injured and so forth. He's a very good footballer. His best years to come. Hopefully, he can find that form and focus that he needs to develop. People kind of forget that game when he ran the game against Barcelona. He was playing a deeper role then, and he just kept it so simple. It was
the deeper role argument, Jay. So I want to ask you. I'll ask you this: the deeper role, is it a defensive? There's Timothy Hargraves. I love him to death. You're a good fella, but this whole thing that if he plays a defensive midfield role, he won't get kicked as much, which is maybe true, but he'll be doing the kicking. So he's still having to slide in. He's still having collisions with people. So the risk of injury, as far as the glass ankles that people think that he has, which is not true, is kind of it's neither here nor there. If the place that he'll get kicked the least is right in the centre of the pitch, picking the ball up from the defensive midfielder, pushing forward, and passing it on to an Ozil or a Sanchez or a Cazorla upfield, not trying to go all the way upfield and then getting kicked in the final third.
Yeah, but it's the midfielder role we've got at the moment. Sorry, if you look at Coquelin is just patrolling the third of the pitch, in front of the back four and just behind Santi and Javier, and he's so disciplined in the way he's moving. Okay, he's pushing up to be that a pivot man for when the ball's coming back, etc., to be the extra man and so forth. And he's letting Ramsey do all the driving.
Chase, just before you go on, sorry, I've got to leave.
Okay.
So I just thought I'd say bye.
Okay, no problem. Good luck, Chris.
I'm going to hand over the responsibility to you, Jay. So you crack on, but I will speak to you fellas at 10:30. I've got training to go and hold in the snow of Plymouth. Happy days.
Enjoy, pal.
So I'll catch you guys later. Okay.
Cheers, Chris.
Cheerio.
We were saying that there's rumours of Flamini going to Fulham. Fulham have just let Thomas Eisfeld go on loan to Bochum back in Germany.
Jesus.
And they've also let go another midfielder called Chris David, a Dutch bloke who's gone back to FC20. So it looks like Fulham are having a bit of a clear out.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of players at the moment, haven't they?
They've got loads. I tell you what, if matey boy, Scott Parker leaves today, and because he is on massive amount of money there, if he leaves today, then maybe that Flamini thing's got legs, as they say on TV.
Do you know what, Danny? I think they've just got so many players. You know, they've had a plethora of managers in a short space of time. It's a bit like
they've got one of your boys there at the moment, haven't they? The manager.
Yeah. They've got what's his name? They've got a couple of good youngsters there. I can't remember his name. He plays for Wales under 18s, I think.
I mean the manager.
Things there. What's his name?
I can't remember.
No, they've got a young kid there. He's played for Wales recently. Very good player. But they've got so many players, they don't know who's on the books. So I think the clear out is more to find a starting point to rebuild from. You know, but
the manager's Kit Simmons.
Kit Simmons, yeah. He's been very big.
Yeah, he's Welsh, isn't he?
Well, he's English Welsh.
And then the bloke you're on about, is it George Williams, a forward?
That's George Williams, yeah.
Yeah, he's only 19. He's played 5 games for Wales already at 19. Is he a bit of a prospect then?
You two shut up.
He's a hell of a player.
Kris disappears for 5 seconds and you're off on one.
He's actually been linked with us. George Williams has been at the Arsenal.
Anyway, I'll take over the hosting since you
right, so let me finish off where we were. Okay, so if you're looking at that defensive role, you're not going to need a Coquelin every game. So Ramsey and Wilshire will be able to do it in the future, but they just have to be more disciplined in the way they play. Do you want to host on?
I've still got a couple of questions on the Wilshire thing. Little shout to Kelly Ma, who doesn't like my accent. Little wink, wink. Yeah, I know where that's coming from, Kelly, you cheeky fucker.
We all love Kelly, and she's not a crazy cat lady. She's a delightful.
She is. She's got 15 of them. She's got 15 cats apparently. Okay, Jay. So with the Jack Wilshere argument, if you were to say I want to know what Jack Wilshere's best qualities are as a footballer.
It's his ball control. His passing is superb. You know, his vision. Those are his best. He's not. So
if you're talking about those kind of attributes, do you think they're better suited to around the middle of the pitch or right back in his defensive third?
I think in the middle to further back for me, because when you've got the other players that we do have at the moment, you know, when you've got the pace of Walcott, Sanchez, etc., those are the guys you want running into those positions for Jack to find.
I think, for me, you look at the guy's natural ability. There's a reason that he's made it from an 8-year-old kid right through to playing in the Arsenal first team at a young age. And to start taking those things away and making him adapt his game to things that may not suit him, you talk about killing a guy's career. If you look at his attributes, though, he's not. I don't think he doesn't have a great shot on him. He doesn't have a great. I don't think he's got a great range of those through balls like an Ozil or Cazorla's got. But I think that if you put him too deep and get him just to roam around and try to tackle people, I don't think that he's got the technical ability to lay a good tackle like Coquelin's got. I think that his best position is somewhere from, around the middle of the pitch, just grabbing the ball, driving forward, then passing it on. And like you said, that range of passing, he can squirt one out wide to a winger. He can play one up forward to Ozil. He can use his range of passing in the middle of the pitch, where Coquelin doesn't really need to do that. He can sit back, slide in, nick the ball, and a little 5-metre pass to Wilshere, who can then drive the ball onwards. That's where I see his best football being played, and we haven't really seen him have a good run of games in that position, doing that kind of role. He's been playing a lot further forward.
Yeah, but he hasn't had those games in that position because there've been other options and what have you. I do see him in that Arteta role. I think he can be brilliant there. And I think, the one thing about him is he's quick to spot an opportunity. And when he does drive forward, when he gives and goes, that's always been his strength. Give, go, driving the team up the park. And I think the further up you play it. It's something that's mentioned. All of a sudden, from the pitch going vertical, it's horizontal. It goes sideways. That's where your space is. Whereas the more room he's got to play in, he's got to use going forward, the more effective he is.
There's a couple of people that are saying, like, who does he replace in the team? It's not, for me, it's not a matter of who does he replace, because you've got Gibbs and Monreal at left back at the moment, and we're not saying that that's a problem. We're saying that that's a good thing, that there's a competition going on there. Whoever's playing the best at the time gets a run of games. It's that simple, and he's in competition with Aaron Ramsey for me in that central midfield position. Here's the other question to all the listeners: how often has Ramsey and Wilshere both been fit at the same time? None this season.
I'd love to see Ramsey and Wilshere as the future of the Arsenal midfield,
exactly.
but it's a bit like Lampard and Gerrard, though. I don't think it'll ever happen.
They just don't seem like the type of players that you never know. They could end up there, but they're both 22 and 23 years old. These guys are so young still, and they're playing pretty high-level football at such a young age. They're only going to get better. But it's not a matter of thinking you pick your first 11, then everybody else after that isn't allowed to be a world-class footballer. That's the reason that Chelsea and Man City are winning titles, and that's what we need to be competing with these guys. We need the quality of either a Ramsey and or a Wilshere on the bench, depending on who's playing well. We need the quality of Monreal and or Gibbs on the bench, depending on who's playing well. We need Gabriel to end up pushing and making the first team appearance, and then finding it very difficult to drop him to win titles. That's what you need. The argument of exactly. But the argument of who gets to play where, and if he doesn't get in the first 11, then we may as well sell him. Nah, you've got to remember that these guys are all fighting for spots, and it creates competition. It's one of those things that if it's a good problem to have, but if you don't have that problem, you're not going to win titles.
But as well as that, okay, the pressure on these young lads at the moment. They are 22, they are 23. You look 2 seasons ago, the Emirates is booing Aaron Ramsey.
Morons were.
Sake, what the hell is the matter with people? If you're writing off Jack Wilshere at the moment, it doesn't make any sense. You've got to give these guys time to develop. Jack Wilshere's a very effective player for us. Do I think he needs to improve? Hell, I think everybody needs to improve. I think we've got a really talented squad of players, but they can do better. We were talking on WhatsApp last night, and I said, I'm being uber harsh, but I'd love to see Santi bring more goals to his game from open play, because all of a sudden he's a hell of a threat.
Absolutely. I think the problem with Jack is he seems to be pretty good at most things. I don't think that he's found his niche in the team yet, and that takes some time. Where if you have Mesut Ozil fit and Theo fit, and you have a little bit of a more settled side, and he gets a run of games and he gets to find his position and make it his own. Because don't forget, last season he was playing out on the wing sometimes, he was playing through the middle as an attacking midfielder sometimes, and he was played a little bit deeper with Ramsey at times, not knowing whether he was supposed to run forward or Ramsey. It's just one of those things. I think that when he gets a little run in the side, a la Aaron Ramsey did, where everyone was calling for him to be sold, and then all of a sudden he got a run in the team. He knew his position, he knew what he needed to do, and he stuck to it, and all of a sudden you saw the guy flourish. And there are a lot of people that will say that Jack Wilshere is more naturally talented than Aaron Ramsey is, which I don't disagree with, but I don't think that he has the same application that Aaron Ramsey has. And that's probably the biggest issue. And he hasn't found his niche spot in the team yet. And once he does,
But Dom, sorry, they've both got different attributes, haven't they?
They do, absolutely, you're right.
They've got different attributes, and they need to be nurtured differently. If you look at Francis Coquelin, who would have thought at the beginning of the season he'd have come in for the spell of games he's had recently and done so well? As far he was dead man in the squad, so to speak. That's not down to anybody getting it wrong. It's down to Coquelin having the opportunity to come back, play that defensive role, and say, hell, I'm taking this opportunity both hands, and I'm going to make it mine. I mean, Danny, I don't know what you feel about this. We've got a few players who are a bit up and down on performance. We can't get a steady level of performance from all the players at all the time, though we have done very well recently.
Which ones in particular?
Well, you look at Santi Cazorla. I thought beginning of the season he was magnificent against Besiktas. I thought He was just up until the Man City game, his best game of the season, but then he dipped off. Now,
I think that's a little bit because he's so versatile. He can cover in any position.
He was playing out wide when he dipped off, and he played through the middle when he played against Besiktas, and it's not really a coincidence that he plays his best football through the middle, because when he's out wide, he doesn't have that same... It's the same argument with Ozil, where he's not quite as effective usually when he was played out wide, because he has different duties to do out there. Doesn't have that free role when he gets to drive into the middle.
If you look at the tenure of Arsene Wenger, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, central midfielder, becomes a left back. Lauren, central midfielder, becomes a right back. Robert Pires, central midfielder, right-hand side midfielder, becomes a left-sided midfielder. Thierry Henry, left winger, becomes a striker, so forth. Arsene Wenger sees something in these guys that he thinks they could be perfect for a certain position. You know, we've seen the failures with Arshavin and so forth. It's just about applying and getting a continuity of performance and getting some momentum. But, you know, once Jack Wilshere, Francis Coquelin, etc., all these players start finding that level of consistency that you had during the Invincible season, that these guys were previously found and maintained for us, all of a sudden we are a very, very strong squad, aren't we? So, I mean...
Well, we do. You need that though, don't you? You look at the teams that Man City and Chelsea can put out as their second string 11, and they're still £30 million players that they can put out onto the pitch. We need to do that to be able to compete. Everyone talks about being wanting to win titles. That's where you have to have whoever's playing the best football gets to play. And unlucky, you got to work. Got to work harder and take your chances if you're not quite getting them. So Kieran Gibbs has got a job to get back into the side at the moment, which is exactly what you need. Danny, question for you. Yeah. Generally, we've seen the midfield, when Aaron and Jack have played together, people say that it doesn't work. Generally, when that's happened, it's been Arteta as a defensive midfielder and Aaron and Jack further up the pitch. Do you think that if it was Aaron and Jack further behind the ball, further behind the striker with an Ozil or Cazorla playing the number 10 role, do you think that would work?
I think definitely they can both track back. I think that Wilshere is probably the better defender, because he tends to get stuck in probably a little bit too much. But if you're going to get tackled by either Ramsey or Wilshere, you're going to opt to be tackled by Ramsey, because Wilshere is a bit hard, which is why I think when those two play in the central midfield together, they can both get forward and score. They can both get back and defend, but I'd like to see Ramsey the one that gets forward, pushes forward, and maybe if Ozil's making a run left or right, then Ramsey pushes up. And then if one of the central defenders is making a bit of a push forward, then Jack can fall back a little bit. But I think it could work, but it's just going to take a little bit of tinkering and Jack to realise that you can't be attacking the entire game. Just watch a bit of Ray Wilkins, pass it sideways a bit, keep possession of the ball, and don't hold on to it for so long. I mean, that's just something he's going to have to learn. And when he does learn, if he learns, which I hope he does, they can both have long and prosperous careers with us. Because the thought of having those two as our central midfield pair for the next decade is wondrous.
I've got to be honest here. The thought of Jack Wilshere leaving the Arsenal or Aaron Ramsey at the moment horrifies me. It horrifies me.
It's pointless, isn't it?
Yeah, I think those two are players which we can build a squad for the next 8 years around. Okay, and they'll play together. They'll play. You know, one will be on the bench at times. It doesn't matter. But they are footballers that this club should be built on. You know, the same with Wojciech Szczesny. Okay, Szczesny, for all his faults and for all the things I dislike about him, I think he is the future of the club. But these guys have to now start acting like it and start playing like it. And actually, Coquelin's performances, I thought he was excellent against Villa. I thought he was really excellent. Didn't have a massive amount to do, but did it diligently. That's, you know, him and Ramsey in last year. They are examples to the kids coming through, and to people like Szczesny. These are the levels you must attain. You know, it's as simple as that.
Very true. I always, like a referee, I think Coquelin, if you don't see much of him, means he's having a good game. Yeah. It's the strikers that you want to see a lot of, but Coquelin in the middle, doing his job, I think is brilliant. So he's
Okay.
getting
He had,
part of the game.
he had a game high interceptions in that game too. So they're little things that he just places himself in the right spot, knowing the ball's going to be passed a certain way, cuts the ball out, and you can start those counter attacks from there. Which is why I see Ramsey and or Wilshere in the spot that picks the ball up from him and then starts to drive the team forward. We saw Aaron Ramsey do that little spinny thing in the middle of the pitch, then pass the ball out wide to was it Theo or someone out there running along. And that's the kind of position that I can see Jack, like Jay said, his attributes are driving forward and his range of passing, which is exactly what Aaron did in that little instance there. So
and he's
I think
passionate for the
right.
club.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to have. I mean, what happens if Aaron's injured and or having a bad run of form? Who's your next option?
Guys,
You need to have a Wilshere knocking on the door coming in, and or vice versa. That's how you win titles.
You need those guys driving each other on. Just to go to the chat box, Dave Pledger, how are you, fella? Tim Hargreaves, Stan the Man, Joe Norbury, Antoine, James Cooper, Joe Norbury, Steve Moneybags, have I mentioned him? Sorry, Jojo Wack, Lionel Messi. All the guys are on. How are you all? Apologies, we haven't interacted as much as we have done in the previous pods. It's been a bit strange with Bex having technical difficulties and Harry having a nip off to training. Any questions you have for us? I'm going to pitch 2 questions to the lads now, and then we'll come to any questions you have, and then we'll wrap this up. Boys, earlier on the last podcast, we were talking about German defensive midfielders, and currently Bayer Leverkusen own 2 of them. One's on loan at Borussia Mönchengladbach in Christopher Kramer, and the other one's Lars Bender. Give me your choice. Who would you go for?
Danny?
I thought he was asking you.
I'm asking both of you.
Oh, you go first then, Dom.
Well, I'd go the Lars Bender option because he's the captain of the club. It'd be good to have someone in that position come in and be a leader on the pitch and have those attributes that he clearly has. And look, I'm going to be honest, I've not seen a whole lot of him play. I have seen a bit of him play, but he's one of those naturally talented players that I mean, he's pretty highly regarded in even the German national side. If he was fit for the World Cup, he probably would have played a fair bit. So you'd have to go with the experience and the leadership skills, I think.
Okay, cool. Danny?
I like the idea of all the German players because I think it's good to have Ozil will be more settled at the club if he has more German players around him. And at one point we had 7 German players, including youths, with like Ozil and Mertesacker, Podolski, Gnabry. I think there's about 3 or 4 in the youths as well. I mean, Thomas Eisfeld was one, but I think he went, didn't he, in the summer and then moved again this afternoon. So I think you've as much as are you on about difference? Who would you rather have out of
out of Kramer and Bender?
I think I'd go Bender as well. I mean, Kramer, he's isn't he on loan at the moment?
Yeah, he's on loan at Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They're actually above Leverkusen in the table. They're doing really well. I mean, they're both excellent footballers. I'm a big fan of Lars Bender.
I think Bender's the all-round better player, the more complete player.
His athleticism is the bit I like, but again, with Kramer, he's a bit taller, he's a bit bigger. Both highly regarded. I mean, we'd be lucky to have either of them, but
plus they just come back from the German Christmas break or winter break. They've all had 5-6 weeks off. So after such a long break, it'd take a couple of games to them to all get back into their flow, which is why you had a couple of odd results at the weekend in the Bundesliga, like Dortmund. I mean, Bayern Munich being beat 4-1 by Wolfsburg was a result that no one thought was going to happen. But when they get back onto form, then that's when you can start reassessing the players and hopefully players like Bender, because they've all had busy summers. Was Bender in the World Cup squad? I don't think he was.
No, Bender's injured. He's injured.
He would have been. He was in the squad until he got injured, and he probably would have played ahead of Khedira too.
Yeah, Kramer's in the squad. Yeah.
Yeah, he played a little bit, not much though.
Yeah. Okay,
I've got a question to finish up if you want.
Sorry,
boys.
bear with me a second. I just want to give a shout out to who put that there? Oh, Joe Norbury. Bender will sell plenty of shirts for future Armour fans. Also
And,
to,
Sheep.
to the future Armour fans. Also to the gay gooners.
Yeah, I'm sure our friend Gav would probably buy one, surely. Would he not?
Okay, end up with give us the last question.
All right.
And,
Yeah, okay. I'll finish off just to wind this up quickly. Obviously, we're probably not going to be buying anybody today worth speaking about a whole lot. So, given the summer coming up with the squad that we have at the moment and the players that we have in form at the moment, what 2 players would you bring in that are realistic options to make us a title-winning squad? Danny?
Oh, wow. Schneidlin to cover in the middle, and then I would bring in someone who can take the pressure off of Giroud up front, because with the 4 going out, I think if something goes wrong, we could have a bit of problem up front. So it's going to be someone who can score goals. I'd take a gamble on Pato, which I know no one's going to agree with me. It'd probably be much like Balotelli, a disaster, but I do love my FIFA players. If they're good on FIFA, I want them at my club. So Pato probably be about 10 million and Schneidlin 25.
I'd personally go Schneiderlin or Bender. Or Kramer, actually. I think either of those 3 would be perfect for us in that central role. I'm torn between a centre half, as in a Hummels, maybe not Hummels, or Draxler. I think Draxler, he's a big lad, he's quick, he hasn't got the scoring record of Royce, but either of those 2, they can play attacking midfield, striker. So it would be one of those 2 areas, but I'm still think we need a centre half. Whether you go a development centre half, I'm not sure. Gabriel may be the answer to us there, and we may have Hayden come through and challenge as well. Who knows? But I definitely think you need that big, athletic midfielder who's defensively minded. I think. Danny Welbeck may well be the answer. So
Yes.
He may well be. But
I'll give you mine. Obviously, everyone's going to know that I've got a huge man crush on Schneiderlin. I'd put him in. I'd give him the captain's armband, and he's people are talking about who's more handsome. Schneiderlin's got that in the bag, and we are a team of handsome-looking guys, so you've got to put him in. But not only that, he's
he's a beast.
We need to put Schneiderlin in to raise that average back up a little bit. But for me, there's people talking. Yeah, there's people talking about Gonalons or Schneiderlin or whatever. I'll give you my argument for Schneiderlin. He's a guy that's played through different divisions. He's Premier League ready. He's in a team that's currently sitting 3rd or 4th in the Premier League, over Gonalons, who's in the French league, which I don't really rate very highly, to be honest. It's not like it's not a league that's a high-scoring league.
Could be another Mvia, couldn't he?
League. Exactly, and you've got a guy that he knows what to expect. He's played against all the forwards, and he plays in a team that's quite similar to the way that we play, which is a big thing too. So the integration system that he's going to have to go through, the risk involved in buying him and working out is a lot less than Bender and or Gonalons. And he's got that leadership quality as well that would be quite good, and he's a perfect age. 6'1", I think he is, so he's a good height as well, and he's really athletic, and he can defend with his running back towards goal and cut balls out. So
and his game started to evolve, and he started adding goals, hasn't he?
Absolutely, and he can push forward, and he's just a complete player. But I just think that he suits the way that we play absolutely perfectly. So I'd be going him for the defensive midfield sort of spot to help out there, because you're going to have Arteta, who's not going to play a whole lot next year. Flamini will go, Diarra will go, and we're basically left with Coquelin in that position. So you like I say, you need 2 really good players in each position, and he would be the other guy that I'd put there. And then I would pick Draxler in the left midfield / wing position, purely because he's 21 years old, he's 6'2", he's an option that we don't currently have. People will say that Welbeck can play out there. Well, he can, but he's not that good out there. Draxler would be a much better option to have out there to provide the difference, and he's more of a midfield type player, whereas Danny Welbeck's got that forward mentality a little bit. So I mean, Royce would be the ideal player. He's the perfect player for that position, but he's probably not that realistic. So I think that Draxler would be a player that gives us an option that we don't currently have with our small, tricky wingers. He gives us that height and a little bit more power. And if he adds a few goals to his game, I mean, we've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's not scoring as much as probably he would like either. So
yeah, that's part of his game he needs to build on.
That's right. And so Draxler's a little bit similar. I mean, he can score goals, and he's got all the talent in the world, that kid. And it's just an option that we don't currently have at 6'2", playing on that left side there. Would be quite delicious. And don't forget, it's a squad that we need to build, not just the first 11.
So I think everybody misses the point in that, don't they? It's a fact of it's a 60-game a season, and
that's right.
A 60-game season for us, and we need a squad.
We need a squad. And if you look at the deficiencies in our squad overall, I personally, like I said, the defensive midfield spot and that left midfield/wing spot are 2 holes in the squad. Doesn't mean they have to play every single week in, week out, or they're replacing someone in the side. It just gives you the complete squad to be able to challenge on all fronts: Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, Capital One Cup. Every competition you're in, you give yourself the best chance of winning it.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Transfer thing, Jace. Maybe I should just one last thing. Bit of transfer news. One of my favourite players on FIFA, Doumbia, has left CSK Moscow and signed for Roma for 10 million.
FIFA. Right. Okay. On that note, our thanks to you guys for listening. Akib is on. T. Hodge, Kelly, my Kelly mother. Thanks to Dom, thanks to Danny, thanks to Kris, thanks to Bex, who unfortunately had technical issues. Hopefully she'll be on at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's 7:25 now, so we're going to bugger off, and the guys will be back in about half an hour or so. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, everyone.
Take care. Goodbye.
Bye.